Hello basketball players, today I'm talking to you and why you may not be getting a basketball scholarship and the reasons why. Basketball players or basketball coaches that have players who are looking to get recruited, I can help you get recruited. First of all, you need a highlight tape and I can help you with that in the link in the description below. So hello everyone, my name is Alan from Al's Basketball Training. If you're new to this channel, on this channel I show you basketball plays, drills, and skills. So if you like that stuff, hit that like button and subscribe. And my main goal is to help every basketball player and coach become better. But anyways, today I'm going to talk to you about how you may not be getting a basketball scholarship. That is kind of the top thing on the list of basketball players if you're coming up through elementary school, middle school, and even high school. Once you get to grade 11, grade 12, you're starting to really get worried, especially if you haven't been looked at yet by universities. So my first word of advice is basically there are a ton of universities out there giving out scholarships. There's over 300 Division I schools in the States that are offering scholarships. And a lot of those universities are offering 1, 2, and even 3 scholarships per year or even more. So if we were to average an average of 1 per school or 2 per school, you're now looking at between 300 and 600 scholarships open every single year. And that is huge. But why are you not going to get a scholarship? Let's go over some quick tips as to why you may not be getting a scholarship. So the first reason is that you're just not seen. Nobody has seen you play before. You may not be playing at a big school. You may not be playing on a big AAU team, but you're really good. But nobody is seeing you play. Or you may be international. You may be coming from Canada and you're maybe not playing on Team Ontario, or you may not be playing at a prep high school. You may only be playing at a AA or AAA level school, which only has maybe 500 to 1,500 students, and at that point, you may not be getting the exposure to the scouts or to the university coaches that you really need. So because of this, you may not be getting a basketball scholarship down to the States. But there are a few ways how you can get your face or your name or even yourself out in front of the eyeballs of these coaches. There's a thing called the internet, and that's what you're watching right now is the internet. I'm on YouTube, so hey, and you maybe even may have come over here from Instagram or other places like that. These are fantastic ways of getting your name out there as to getting a scout or a coach to say, wow, that kid's got some skill. I need to really watch a few more of this kid's tapes to see if maybe this kid is good enough to maybe stretch into one of our teams. So the way you can do this is by having yourself a highlight tape. This is something that's very basic. If you have a highlight tape, and if you have a highlight tape on YouTube, that is one way to kind of get your name out there. Now, by just posting it on YouTube, you may get 10, 20, 30, 50 views, and that's it. If you don't promote it, you're not getting it to go anywhere. And I'm not talking about paying for advertising dollars, going to another YouTube channel and being like, hey, I subscribe to you, subscribe to me. No, what I'm talking about is going out and doing some research. I'm going to guarantee you right now, the University of North Carolina, their coaches are probably not going to get back to you if you're just going to email them, but they might. As a coach, I have emailed tons of universities for my players when they say, hey, I would like to have you email this school because I've emailed the school, they've never gotten back to me. But if you, as a coach, say, hey, I've got this player that you may like to look at, they might pay attention to you too. So that's another tool that you can utilize is your coach. Go to your coach and say, hey, here's the link to my highlight tape. I want to try and get into this such and such a school. Could you maybe email them and say, hey, I'm referring this player to your school? I've done that tons of times. I've done that for players who want to go to Syracuse tons of times. Now, about, I would say 80% of the time, the coaches do get back to you and say, hey, here's a pamphlet to our camp. That way I can get to see some of these players, and I'll make sure to mark down your player as a player that I really want to look at, which is great for that player if they go to that camp. But none of my players ever went to those camps. I don't know why. But the other 20%, they asked for, hey, do you have a full game tape of that game, of the highlight? And then in that case, I would email the players' parents and say, hey, if you have the full game tape, upload it, give me the link, and I'll send it on to that coach for you. And then what I'll do is, even from the first email, I would always link the parent's email address at the bottom so that that coach can directly email that kid's parents, and that way they can start getting talking to. Now, I will give you some advice as to, you may not get an email right back from the coaches, and that the reason is there's only certain times of the year where they're allowed to talk to prospective players. So keep that in mind as well. I used to have a list on my website as to the times of which that they were able to talk to you. I don't have that anymore. Just search on the NCAA website, you'll find it. They update it every single year, so that's a great resource. Remember to make sure you do your homework. Now, the second reason why you may not be getting a scholarship is maybe your grades. Your grades have to be good. I'm not talking about flunking grades. Like, you should have grades that are 80% or higher, minimum 80%. I would personally aim to try and get over 90%, but that's difficult for a lot of players. It was difficult for me. I was nowhere close to a 90% student. But if you're over 80%, you will do pretty well. Now, you're not going to be getting into like an Ivy League school, but then again, Ivy League schools don't give full scholarships. So just, if you want to get into like whatever Ivy League school you hadn't a mind on, just forget about it. You're not going to get a full scholarship. You'll get a whole bunch of educational scholarships that may cover a lot of the cost, but you're still going to be outputting a ton of money. However, going from there, what you need to have in mind as well is basically you want to have a lot of information in your mind or even written down as to when your next test is and everything like that, so you can make sure that you're going to get the grades that will allow you to get the scholarships. Grades are very important. I have known many players of when I was growing up who were really good students, really amazing basketball players, but horrible grades. I had a friend who was supposed to be going down to an Ivy League school for what I was just mentioning for basketball, but he had a lot of, this is how I know this stuff, is because he had a ton of education grants. But then in grade 12, he flunked math. And because he flunked that one math class and everything else was in the 90s, he lost his scholarships. He ended up going to the University of Toronto, and now he's a doctor, which he's still a doctor, don't get me wrong. That's still a fantastic backup plan, but he could have been very close to a professional basketball player, or maybe played 2 or 3 seasons overseas as a pro basketball player and came back to be a doctor. I don't know, it's just me maybe, but if I had a chance to go and play 2 or 3 years as a pro basketball player and come back as a doctor, I'd be happy as hell. But if you don't know my backstory, here's a quick backstory. I played a fantastic 1.5 days of professional basketball in the D-League until I got injured, and then I was finished. So always have a backup plan. The third reason why you may not be getting a scholarship, yes, the third reason, is because, well, you may not be thinking of it as a job. When you're going after a job in real life, you gotta hound some of these jobs. You can't just be going out and being like, hey, here's my resume, have fun, call me if you want, peace. That doesn't work. Some jobs, especially the higher paying jobs that you really want to get, believe me, basketball is a high paying job. You gotta really hound down on really getting that job. So I'm not just saying there's my highlight tape, there's my email, have fun. Really do your research and don't just go out and be like, here is like a set like copy paste job for every single university. Do your research. Go onto the university website, find the coaches' emails because they are on there. They're on all of the different university websites. I've only seen like one, and it was like some Connecticut school that never had the coaches' emails. All the others did. And what you have to do is have an individual personalized email or email to each one. So like do some research. Look at their game highlights. Be like, okay, I'm a point guard. Let's try and find a school that needs a friggin' point guard in 2 years. And then go out and go after those schools. Be like, hey, I noticed that your offense is running like this, and hey, you're running these plays for your point guard. I've run very similar plays. Check out my highlight tape. And also, I think I would be a great fit. Do you have? And then this is how you can ask for their help, which is fantastic because then they feel needed. Is you can be like, hey, by any chance, do you have any camps that are coming up where the coaches are going to be watching? Because if there is, I would love to be able to go to your camp and have you check out how I play. Now, by going to their school's camps, that coach is not spending any money. Actually, he's making money off of you. But second, he's able to not spend any money to go and recruit you. He doesn't have to go to like 5 cities off to try and find a game that you're playing in, or like 5 states away, or even another country. He doesn't have to do that. All he has to do is go across the street and find the gym that you're playing in and be like, oh yeah, this kid is doing really well in this and this and that and this and that, and this is what he has to improve on. And then if you were smart, if when the coach is there and he's finished, maybe you can go up to him. I've never tried this, but you could try this and see what happens. I'm the kind of person who's like right out there and really interested in trying to get as much information as possible. And that is, hey, did you get to see me play today? If you did, what can I improve on? Don't even ask him, what did I do well? What did I do good on? He's just be like, you were great. You were a fantastic dribbler or something, just to get rid of you. But if you say, what can I improve on? Now that is now showing to the coach that you want to improve your game. You want to better yourself. But also, you're not trying to gloat about yourself, being like, hey, look at me. I crossed that guy. No, what you're actually doing is being able to be going out and being like, hey, I want to be forever improving. And that shows to the coach that you're a coachable player, which means that he might just pick you. Because believe me, as a coach, I would 100%, if there was 2 players who were very close in skill, I would pick the coachable one over the non-coachable one any day. So there are some tips as to how you can get a basketball scholarship and some mistakes that some players make by not going to camps, by not contacting coaches, by not going out there and getting yourself known, things like that. So, if you have liked this video, hit that like button and subscribe. Check out my next video somewhere in one of those 2 corners and subscribe if you haven't already. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I show basketball skills and drills for players, or even just information for players like today. And of course, I'll see you guys again tomorrow for another basketball plays or drills video.